And we are back in Factorio. So, my most recent change was to create my third generation processing area, which is complete, and we have deleted the old one. And I let things run for a bit, and we are now, well, I guess I let things run for a bit. I think I let things run for a bit, and we are now building, and we are now sending things out. We probably have not reached total homeostasis, but good enough. Good enough that we are actually producing trains now. So the next step is to relocate the advanced circuits. I'm going to leave this super radar in until I've got the next area basically laid out. Hey, we could start with dropping the output station in just as it stands. That makes that easy. And I just need to make sure to fix the name of the station. So let's kill that much and fix up the rails, top and bottom. There we go. Now we grab all of this. Careful to make sure the train stop names are off. There we go. And that means we can remove the super radar from there. So we want this to have the same name. Oh, I want to get the super radar going down there as well. So this will require for inputs copper and iron and plastic. And our iron plate's going to come in on the 3/8 trains, even though we don't need as much of it. So for now, there's a radar. Let's copy this name. And get that set up. So this is the processing unit station name. So we want to be the same thing, but for advanced circuits. There. So next we need to set up iron and copper. We actually have a really good layout up here. How much do we need? Copper, we need 8 lines. Iron, we need, well, we don't actually need full lines, but we're going to go on to 8 areas, 8 lines. So it's going to be similar, but we don't need to cross things over above the stations. However, if we do, would there be any benefit to it? So the benefit would be we'd have iron and copper coming down on the left and on the right. We'd have to do 4 instead of 3. That's not a problem. Okay, so I'm just going to grab the same iron and copper inputs we had. I'm going to have to turn off the request temporarily. And it's going to need plastic as well. Well, how about that? Let's pick up the plastic as well. We may need more plastic. So this is looking more and more like exact duplicate, except for no no sulfuric acid area. We can do that. I can pull just to there. Exclude that rail. Obviously this is going to need adjustment because it's going to be 4, not 3. They're being output. And actually it kind of makes sense that this is going to be similar to that one because processing units are red chips plus a little bit of stuff. And we have already requested things in because I forgot to turn things off. Plef. Did I at least change the name? No, I didn't. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to wait until these guys are filled up before I fix the names, though. So, given that, I basically want to carve off from here out and all of this stuff, all of that stuff. There we go. You still need the 8x8 mixers. But this time, oh, no power. Hello, power. There. We do want these to unload, please. So we grab the normal 8x8s. So we are going to need to send 4 this way and 4 that way. And that fits. So let's mark these out. Okay, so we have finished our deliveries. We're up to snuff. Now I can fix the names. Just need to get a advanced circuit in here. And in here. Oh, come on. There we go. guys are easy. So these first ones just come right through like that. This guy needs to go up here. Actually, what I want is for this. I like symmetry, so let's do that. Similar out here. Do we have a right turn handy? We do. So that guy goes there. This guy goes here. Now we need a left turn. Now the actual build here I'm thinking maybe keep this the way it is. Use this instead. Yeah. So we can kill off that and place down. I think that's right. And this is still missing one hookup. So green wire from the power pole to stock and red wire from power pole to the inserter. And replace these with my medium power poles. There we go. So there's that. The actual fabrication part of this it's going to get a little tricky. So this actually would work a little better if my outputs here were interleaved. So I am going to kill those off and redesign that. So I need to remove belts and undergrounds. Just like that. Now, how do they interleave? Basically, what I need coming in is plastic, and then iron, and then copper. And we need to do something here. Is there a better way to do an unloader since I have this area out front? Possibly, but it doesn't really matter. Well, it will reduce out some of the finagling around. So basically, if I wanted to really be interesting about this, I could take these both ways, like that. And if I wanted to be really fancy, I could unload from more than one at a time. So if I unload one going each direction, like that, sort of. Thinking in real time here. So the downside of this is I still need to balance all of the outputs from all of my boxes together. I need to merge them and balance them. So the 4x is really the best way to go. Let's grab another copy of it and set it back up. I won't use the balancer out to the left. I'm going to rework all of this. Oh. Okay, so this plastic is not making any effort to draw evenly from the steel chests. Well, I suppose that's okay as long as we only request a train. If we could unload the entire train, even when all of the stuff is in one box. We've talked about this before. I always go back and forth on this. But yeah, if we're gonna make that assumption, let's go ahead and just go all in on it. So I'm going to have 2 unloads per. And what we're going to do is send 4 belts right and 4 belts left. And before I continue, I need to work out these so they interleave. My idea is that if I interleave them up top, I don't have to interleave them down in this area, which is going to be enough of a hassle with plastics. Let's run the plastics first. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do it here. No, let's do it here. I reserve the right to change my mind. if I bring that down, do I have enough space to bring down 4 of these pairs? This would be like that. They'd all jump across here and spread out, and we got the ones coming from the right, and they spread out. That works. Now let's make sure we aren't assuming a half lane. Okay, so whatever comes in we're going to split and we're going to side load here. So we don't have to have half lanes coming out. Good. Okay, so there's that. So the 4th lanes that come from here, I want to come across about here. Now, there's a challenge in that, really, yeah, I want these guys that are coming south to jump over. Let's trim that back. So 1, 2, and here. Doing that mainly for consistency. That looks like. Now these next 2 are going to be similar. They're right like that. That delivers to there. Now these pairs, they're getting side loaded onto the 2 halves of this belt pair. It doesn't really matter which one is which, so I'm going to take this one, copper, and this one up to iron. Iron guys are going to have priority here. Because otherwise this is just too difficult to stretch upwards. There we go. So because this station is not centered with respect to this builder, this means that this next guy is not going to be symmetric properly. So as long as it's an exception, yeah, let's just do it that way. So coming down over here, I really want to bring these down further to the right and bring them in, because I don't believe I have quite enough space. Well, or do I? No, this is not. This is too close in unless I kill off much of that. I could do that. Yeah. Bring that in nice and tight. So this ends up being my first iron, and this ends up being my first copper. And this guy's going to be jumping over like that. And there it comes. So I could, in fact, I'm going to move these just a little bit further out so that my first iron comes from there and my first copper comes from there. So let's try that again. Now that means I need to skip one. So my next iron needs to come up here. And copper from here. And let's just draw all these out. Copper and iron. There we go. So now this copper needs to come from over here. Copper, iron. And next is copper, and iron. And continuing with this last one. There we go. Now, I apparently had a lot more space down here than I thought, but that pretty good. I was going to make the verticals jump over the horizontals here, so let's fix that up. There. So if I've done this right, we should have copper and iron appearing where they need to go. We do indeed have green chips landing at the bottom, which is what we needed. And now we need our plastic train. Well, we don't actually have a plastic train. So instead, what I do have is this, which I can pick up and drop down here. And we need to have some plastic for that guy. So with the plastic in place, we should see all of these light up. At some point, this station, when it has more than 16K available, will start exporting red chips. And unlike the previous one, I am not going to kill off the other factory until this one is actually up to speed and ready to start providing. And while we're waiting for that, I'm going to get started on the last one, which is electronic circuits. I think I'm going to start off by duplicating this entire cell, including trains, and excluding station names. And I need to shut off the requesters while I'm doing this. I'm going to be snapping with trains, so let's wait for this train to leave the station. Okay, so he did drop it. I was a little worried there that maybe having the request turned off would confuse things, so keep that. Trains, yes. Train stop names, no. Oh wait a minute, if I keep train stop names and just turn off the dispatcher. There. And now I can delete that and put in place this whole big thing. And patch back together these two intersections. So this now has the wrong factory. So let's zap that much. Green chips will require copper and iron, but they don't require plastic. So we can also zap that. names before I turn anything on. The difference is this is for electronic circuits. There. We can turn these on. Now this is probably total overkill for green chips the way I've done them here. It is tempting to go ahead and just build a massive green chip factory, but I think I am going to decline to overbuild yet. Turn that on, turn that on. And turn on the dispatcher. And this guy down here also needs to have its name fixed. I should have done this before turning on the dispatcher. There. So with that set up, we can remove the radar from this guy. I do want to minimize the number of these radars that I have down so I can make sure to pull them up at the appropriate times. So now the green chip delivery area. Notice how much simpler his station was. I'm going to grab everything including the power pole this time. So I can kill off everything but not including the power pole. This way when I stamp it back down, it'll hook back up to the power pole. Apparently the power pole was one lower on this one. Okay. And that's why he was lower. Yeah. This whole thing had its area much more compressed. No, that's not right. I didn't clip the whole thing. How about that? Let's try this again. See, I didn't get these inserters, which I do need. Let's even include the rail at this point. There. There we go. And power, like that. And we are ready to go, and he will supply when we get there. I am going to move this down just a little bit. There. I'm not even going to commit to having those output on the right place. So the old factory looks like this. It would be so frippin' easy just to double that. But we're not going to. Nope, nope. So what is our key takeaway here? We need to have iron, copper, copper, iron coming in on those inserters. So I'm going to grab this much of it and put it in place. Just like that. Someday I may want to go with a great deal more stuff. So the order of these needs to be iron, copper, copper, iron twice. Hook up the iron first. Like that. And now we can bring up the copper. Similar over here, we need to bring the copper down first. And this is going to look like let's bring it down here. Copper, copper, like that, and then the iron just kind of skips its way into place. Okay. This is so overkill for this little teeny factory. My goodness. Now let's see here. Gaps here. There we go. If I've done this right, this should now just flow right through and give us a nice fat forebelt of green chips. And that is looking quite healthy. So according to max rate calculator, we are putting out potentially 8.2 transport belts of green chips, but we are short by half a machine of copper for being able to do that. So that should be 8 belts. Well, we're doing half of that. So now the question is, what is our limiting factor here? I'm not seeing the copper drop to 0. The copper should be limiting the green machines. I'm not seeing what's limiting us here. Oh, haha, express transport belts. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm sorry, I keep going back and forth between this factory where I'm all blue belted up and the other factory where I'm still on yellow belts and growing. So we are running 2.7 blue belts of output scattered across these 4 belts. So yeah, that looks about right. Now if I look at the 10-minute production for electronic circuits, you see we're getting an uptick. Which is going to go away shortly. This is not a whole lot of output though. Most of our green circuits are going to be inside of our areas that are building red and blue circuits. So in terms of items per minute, this guy is running about 7,000 chips per minute. I won't say that's a drop in the bucket, but it's not major. Come on. So our current rate is 31,000 per minute average across the last 10 minutes, across the last hour, it's still 22,000. So, like I said, this is not huge compared to the total that's happening in the factory right now. But it's all the green chips that we need that are not used up in red and blue chips. So, let's see, we are already at 17K. We are now a candidate for retrieving that stuff. And let's get our Spidertron in place and speed ourselves up. And let's go take a look at what's going on over here. I want to shift over to using this guy because he is now totally saturated. So we can remove the other red chip factory. This guy is going away. And all of his inputs were these infinite input things. So I can just clip that right off. And I'll let my bots pick up the rails. Because apparently that's a thing. Kill this. So we don't currently have anybody scheduled for here. So I can just zap him. Okay, so advanced circuits have been moved. Now electronic circuits. I probably should wait until I see trains moving that stuff, but pretty sure we're good. Okay, there's a train picking up some advanced circuits. See, and he's headed off to a good place. We're headed towards being full here, so I am going to start shutting us down. Again, all of our inputs for these green circuits were these infinite trains. is scheduled to come in, so we can kill that. There. And now our second generation electronic circuits are gone. So here is the InfiniZoom view of what we just did. And you can see that we've got the occasional train coming through. We've got delivery trains moving our resources around. I am going to just sit here at, say, can I go game speed 5? Oh, we are hard pressed to go over game speed 3 on this. I'm gonna let this run for a couple of minutes at speed 3. I will be right back. Okay, we're back. As you can see, we do have trains moving things around, and we are starting to get LTN telling us that we are short on copper ore. In fact, interesting that it's not popping that up on the alerts. But yeah, notice we have copper ore being requested here, and nobody can supply it. So we do need to have another copper mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this recording, and when we come back, our mission will be to build additional ore until we stop getting complaints from LTN that we don't have ore available. See you soon.